Pokemonemeraldrogue is an incredibly unique spin on the Pokemon formula, born of one seemingly innocuous question. What would Pokemon look like as a roguelike? After playing quite a bit of it and conquering the base game a few times, I can say that Pakabi, the hack's developer, knocked it out of the park. Not only is it a refreshingly new take on Pokemon, but it also offers a significantly higher challenge than the base games. Though that isn't saying much. But what if I really wanted to suffer for put my skills to the test? The game has a myriad of options and special modes to tackle, but we're going to focus on just one of them: curses. Curses are key items that modify the game in a variety of ways, like reducing party size or increasing enemy crit chance. They're encountered through certain events in a normal run, and since they're key items, you can't get rid of them. Once you have a curse, you're stuck with it. Though if you're just a tad masochistic, you could choose to start a run with as many of these detrimental effects as you want. This, of course, begged the question: could I beat Emeraldrogue with all of them enabled? How about we find out? The first step in our journey was to pick up one of every curse. The first two of these turn every run into a hardcore nuzlocke, the Embargo and Species curses. The first of those stops us from using items during battle, so we can't do things like heal off status effects or use X items to choose fights. The latter limits our team, allowing us to only use one Pokemon of each evolutionary line. So for example, if I already had an Ivysaur on my team, I wouldn't be allowed to catch a wild Venusaur. For those familiar with nuzlocks, this is just the species clause. The rest of the curses can be divided into two categories: those that affect overworld actions like catching Pokemon or buying items, and those that affect battling directly. Let's start with the first category. First up is the Strength Curse, which makes every Pokemon we catch slightly weaker. Under the hood, it's just subtracting 10 from each IV, and if you don't know what an IV is, that's fine, they're just weaker. Next we have the Wild and Capacity curses, both of which have similar effects. The Wild Curse reduces the number of encounters per route by 1, while the Capacity Curse reduces my maximum party size by 1. We also have the Everstone Curse, which replaces all level-based evolutions. Instead of their natural requirements, these Pokemon now evolve by leveling up while holding a link cable, which is how this game normally handles trade evolutions. The Discount Curse, rather counterintuitively, increases all shop prices by 40%. The Catching Curse makes all Pokeballs 25% less effective. Really makes you wonder why they're 40% more expensive. And finally, the Shuffle Curse, which randomly redistributes all held items at the beginning of each battle. And now that we're done talking about the curses, let's jump right into it. For this run, I decided to start with... Oh, hold on a second, got a page stuck together. Oh, motherfucker. The remaining 6 curses all tweak the battle system directly, taking inspiration from items and abilities that already exist in the game. We've got the Crit Curse, increasing critical hit ratio of all opponents by 10%. The Priority Curse, giving my opponents a 10% priority chance. The Shedskin Curse, granting my opponents a 15% chance to shrug off a status effect. The Flinch Curse, adding a 10% flinch chance to opponents' moves. The Grace Curse, buffing opponents' secondary effect chances by 50%. And finally, for real this time, the Endure Curse, allowing opponents to survive a one-shot 20% of the time. Since these are going to show up during gameplay, I'll keep them in the upper left and light them up whenever they trigger. Now that we've gotten all 15 curses, it's time to grab our starter and head through the gate. For this run, I decided to start with Aerodactyl. As a fast, hard-hitting physical attacker with a decent defensive typing and good coverage options, the Fossil Pokemon is a great choice for taking care of the early game. I'll keep track of my team over here on the right, but for the sake of clarity, I'm only going to include Pokemon that I bring into important fights. Being that Emeraldrogue is a Nuzlocke-style roguelike, my team will change pretty frequently as I lose members or just replace underwhelming ones. And I guess now's as good a time as any to give a quick rundown on how encounters work in this game. Before each of the 8 gym battles, Elite Four members, and champions, I'll be able to choose up to 3 areas on the path forward. Most of these areas are routes, represented by the common field obstacles like Rock Smash Rocks and Strength Boulders. Each of these routes gives a short description when interacting with them, consisting of a difficulty and type modifier. The difficulty modifier, Calm, Average, or Tough, indicates how many different species of Pokemon can be found, the average amount of trainers present, and the average number of items on the ground. The type modifier gives insight to the Pokemon you can encounter on that route. Pokemon of the type associated with the given modifier name have a higher chance of spawning in that area. As an example, this first route I chose should have 3 wild encounters, a decent number of trainers, a good amount of items, and a high probability of finding dragon types. From this cave we picked up Martini the Dratini, Sandias the Sandygast, and Diggle the Alolan Diglett. And it's at this point in the script I realize I haven't mentioned we enabled all the Pokemon through Gen 8. Well, I guess you know now. In the next route, we added our 5th team member, Bulbasaur the Bulbasaur, who promptly grew into a Bulbacyst, solidifying our team going into the first gym battle. The final area on our path is a full rest stop, represented by Nurse Joy. This is the best of the 3 types of rest stop, the others being the battle rest stop and shop rest stop. At a battle stop, you can pick up held items, nature-changing mints, and visit move tutors to give you an edge in future battles, whereas shop stops are an opportunity to stock up on Pokeballs, healing items, and TMs. A full rest stop combines both of these, giving you access to everything while also giving you a free full heal. Thanks to our previous runs, we start with a decent amount of cash and a selection of useful items right out of the gate. Despite that, we refrain from investing too much in our team just yet, since it'll very likely change in the upcoming routes. After changing a few natures and handing out some citrus berries, we can head through the overworld to our first gym leader. Right before we challenge them, we have a chance to get some help from 2 NPCs. The one on the right might look like Nurse Joy, but she's more like Nurse Apathy. She'll give us 1 free heal per run, but after that we've got to pay her for it. Honestly, kinda based that she knows what she's worth. The one on the left is the most sadistic trainer I've ever met, gleefully serving up their perpetually level 4 Chansey for us to unceremoniously slaughter for levels. Once we're leveled and past the threshold, we'll be faced with a random gym leader from generations 1 through 3. All of them have an equal chance of showing up, so if you're curious, here are the odds for each type. Now we can finally get to the reason you're all here, the actual battles. Well, we would be able to do that if I wasn't a huge ditz this run. You may have noticed I've only got 1 evolved Pokemon on the team, Ivysaur, and that probably seems pretty normal considering the rest of them evolve at later levels, but that's not how they evolve anymore. Instead of their natural requirements, these Pokemon now evolve by leveling up while holding a link cable. As it turns out, this also removes the level restrictions for evolutions in the first place. Would have been nice to know going in, but you work with what you got. That aside, we can finally strut down the catwalk and face off against our first random gym leader, Claire. Claire leads with Bagon against our Leech Seed Giga Drain Ivysaur. Not the best matchup, but the disparity between our stats and the fact that Bagon's only super effective move here is Ember means we're not really in any danger. After a lucky burn, likely thanks to the Grace Curse, we take down her lead and move on to Noibat. Noibat isn't particularly scary, but it does have a type advantage against me, and I don't want to risk what could turn into a fantastic lead. Out of an abundance of caution, I switch into Aerodactyl to tank the Gust, and reply with a Thunderfang for a chance to paralyze or flinch, which of course I don't get. In response, Noibat shows me what true luck looks like by getting a priority Curse Bite, which of course causes Aerodactyl to flinch. Off to a great start with the Curse luck, it seems. Despite the minor inconvenience, Noibat falls to a wing attack and Claire sends out her final Pokemon, Jangmo-o. Aerodactyl should have no problem wing attacking it to a timely demise, which it promptly stalls off with a Protect. Unfortunately for the little dragon, this only delays the inevitable, and we walk out with our first badge. From here, it's rinse and repeat. Make our way through the routes, change our team up as we go, and face off against gym leaders until we make it all the way to the Elite Four. Starting with this second set of areas, every choice we make needs to be calculated. Every route we enter for encounters means 1 less rest stop or event, which I'll go over later, and every rest stop or event means less options for Pokemon to potentially bolster our team. Furthermore, the path we choose at the start limits or sometimes even eliminates options for future areas, so taking some time for strategy at the start of each section is incredibly important. I have no full heals no matter what. I think it's probably down here. Do 2 routes and a battle station. I'm gonna do that. Calm, breezy, so I get 5? Yep. Of those 5 encounters, 2 stood out as great additions for the team. Now that isn't a horrible idea. Good typing, pretty high defenses, can do setup strats. I might actually just grab this. Yeah, 140 defense, really shit special defense though, 70. Oh, his health is actually garbage, it's 65, I thought it was more. Yeah, I think I'm gonna grab this. I want to see what else is here, but I think this is getting put in for Dratini. Okay, I know what you're all screaming at me for right now. Skarmory over Dragonite? Yes, that's a terrible, awful, very bad, no good idea, but don't forget, at this point I was still thinking I needed to wait for the usual evolution levels. With the next level cap being only 25, I wasn't comparing Skarmory and Dragonite. Hell, I wasn't even comparing Skarmory and Dragonair. At this point, it was a comparison between Skarmory and Dratini. Short-term viability versus long-term power. Given all the curses, I was much more interested in a solid defensive pivot than a tiny dragon. My second choice, however, was much less of a blunder, even with the hindsight knowledge of how evolutions work with the Everstone Curse. Okay. Ooh. I actually think I want this. This thing has a lot of HP, I know that. Special attack's actually pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for this. Yeah, I'm gonna take this and replace Sandygast. I'm a little nervous though, because if I'm up against an electric gym leader, so either Watson or Surge, I'm in a very bad spot. Actually, if I'm up against Rock or Roxanne as well, I'm in a pretty bad spot, so fingers crossed. Drifloon's evolution, Drifblim, doesn't seem like the strongest Pokemon on paper, but with tons of HP, decent special attack, and an incredible move pool, they're a strong asset for the early game. And so we say our goodbyes to Martini and Sandyass, replacing them with Charcuterie the Skarmory and Drifloon the Drifloon. The second route in this section didn't have much to offer outside of maybe Tyrant, so I pushed forward with the team that I had into the battle stop. At these stations, I'm mainly looking to modify 3 aspects of my party Pokemon: movesets, abilities, and natures. Movesets are pretty self-explanatory. I can use tutors and TMs to edit the 4 moves on each of my Pokemon. Outside of some specific cases, I'm mainly looking for powerful damage-dealing moves of that Pokemon's type for that sweet stab bonus, and coverage moves, those with advantageous typings for bad matchups. Abilities are also pretty simple. They're passives that have a variety of different effects in battle, ranging from surviving one-shots to getting stronger while inflicted with a status condition. Most species of Pokemon have 2 or 3 of these abilities available to them, which we can decide between using the Ability Capsule and Ability Patch. Last but certainly not least, we have natures. A lot of casual players don't even know how these work, assuming they even know they exist, but in actuality, they're really not that complicated. Every Pokemon has 6 stats, and on a majority of them you'll see one colored red and another colored blue. The red stat has its value increased by 10%, which is represented in the numerical value, while the blue stat has its value decreased by 10%. Which stats are affected and in which way is a function of that Pokemon's nature, with one nature existing for every combination of these increases and decreases, outside of HP, which is never affected. There are also 5 neutral natures that don't affect stats at all, representing the portions of the chart where the same stat is increased and decreased. In a normal playthrough, these differences won't really matter, and just serve as another way to make each individual Pokemon unique. But given what we're up against, these 10% swings could be the difference between earning a badge and resetting the run. Fortunately, battle stops give us access to mints, items added in Generation 8 that allow us to change our Pokemon's natures on the spot. Since the shops are randomized at each stop, the mints, and therefore the natures, we have access to aren't always the best, but even a neutral nature is better than a detrimental one. Since it's usually faster and more clear-cut than movesets, I started by editing my team's natures and abilities. I was looking for what? Up special defense, down attack, right? Oh, that's this one. Yeah, for Drifloon, or Drifblim when it gets to that point. Yeah, so I could do up special defense, down attack. Yeah, I think that's actually not a bad idea. Let's do that. Give it a little more bulk. I also need to change its ability. Yep, Burden, absolutely. Skarmory, up attack, down speed. I don't think I want to waste a mint on fixing this, if I'm honest. I do need to change its nature badly, though. Like, Sturdy is just infinitely better. Let me do some move checking real quick, because I think I might be able to give Skarmory spikes at this level. I don't know, though. Nope. I could give you Double Edge, because you have Rock Hat. I think that's probably worth it over maybe the coverage of Thunderfang. Well, that's actually really useful against water, but I don't want to stay in against water in that case. Maybe it is Bite. Then again, this flinches or Paralyze. Yeah, let's give it a Bite. I don't want to teach Earthquake yet, because I'm a little afraid that things might, Fungus die. Let's go murder a Chansey, and then we'll figure everything out from there. No! Wait! I don't think any of the other, or I should say my one other guy is close. Diglett, I think that's 32. There's Ominous Wind. Now, Sucker Punch on this is incredible. That's stupid good. I didn't know this thing got Sucker Punch. That's awesome. With what hands? With these hands. Buy one, get one free. After kicking the stuffing out of another Chansey, we evolve our Diglett into Thug Trio. Hey Oki, you ready for some hair? Look at that. He's beautiful. And Drifloon into Drifblim. Now all we need to do is teach some last minute moves, and we'll be ready for our second gym battle. I'm gonna get rid of Minimize. Okay, you can learn Psychic, that's what I thought. him with Thunderbolt? Okay, let's see, what are you afraid of? So you're afraid of electric types, which I don't really have an answer for. You're afraid of rock types, which this doesn't help. You're afraid of ghost types, which this doesn't help. You're afraid of dark types, which this doesn't help. Yeah, I don't think this helps. This could actually be kind of neat. What does poison hit? It hits fairy, which steel already hits, and it hits grass, which is actually not horrible. Yeah, actually, this is actually a good thing to have on this. So it can hit grass types that would threaten it. I think we're just gonna lead here again. Okay, here we go. If you've made it all the way here to the end, thank you so much for watching or listening. I've been working on and off in this video for a few months now, and I'm so happy that I pushed myself to get it out so I can share it with everybody. If you enjoyed it, please let me know by leaving a like or a comment, subscribing, or coming and supporting me on Twitch or Ko-fi. I really want to make more of these, and I want to know if you want to see more of them. In any case, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, an excellent rest of your week, and I will see you next time.